Here's a riddle. How do you build native cross-platform mobile applications quickly without having to rewrite code and hire consultants at a huge cost? Titanium from Appcelerator. Called the easy button for mobile application development, it allows you to focus more on what's important, getting product out the door. Join the more than 1.5 million active developers who have created over 13,000 apps at www.appcelerator.com. Hello everybody, welcome to Untether.tv, where we have casual conversations with mobile rock stars. Have you ever traveled? And I want you to think about your travel experiences, because I have. I've spent an extensive amount of time abroad, in large swaths of time, and I used to travel with my shoestring books. They were Southeast Asia on a shoestring, or Frommer's Guide when I went on my honeymoon. These are things that we all travel with today, or we used to travel with until today. Now everybody travels with a mobile device, an iPhone, an Android device. This is what we're carrying with us that are more important, and it has a lot of content on it. But what if you really just wanted to go into a city and to find out what the best venues are to visit, even a path to those venues or between those venues or wherever you are, to really have a curated, designed experience in that city? And that's where my guest, Frederic de Pardieu, who is the founder and CEO of mTrip, comes in. They have a platform that actually offers guides for city guides for your smartphone, whether it's iPhone or Android. Frederic, thank you for coming on and sharing your insight. I really appreciate you doing this. Why don't you do a better job explaining what mTrip is than I think I could possibly do?
Yes, thank you, Rob. So mTrip publishes city guides for smartphones like iPhone and Android. And our mission is to offer a new travel experience to the user by developing a new technology like augmented reality, and by developing our own algorithm to assist the traveler to get around the city and to maximize his experience during his trip.
So this is something that I relied on many times, a paper-based guide that by the time it was printed, by the time that it was actually in my hands or I purchased it from the bookstore, was so outdated, because I've walked up into hotels or I've walked up to locations that say they're open or say the hotels are this price and have been it's either been closed or have been undervaluing the dollar that I would have to spend to stay in a hotel. So this replaces
You're
that.
right, Rob. It's one of the added value of the smartphone guide is the fact that the information is much more up to date. If you take a paper guidebook, it's a great product. However, there are around 20% of the information which is out of date, and that's a problem. And one of the feature of our guides is to allow the traveler to give feedback about a specific place in terms of information changes and so on, so that we update every day the information for the other travelers. So we got updates every day about the fact that the place has been closed, the price has changed, or the hours have changed. Yeah. And so we update all this information, and it's a great value for all the travelers.
So, go back to the very beginning. This is an obvious use of a mobile phone, whether it's a feature phone or a smartphone like iPhone and Android. But go back to a couple of years ago when you started this business. You must have seen the link, because Lonely Planet does a great job on their website, and a lot of aggregate sites for hotels, like Hotels.com or a bunch of these other sites, we're paving the way for applications like mTrip. But what was your thinking a couple of years ago when you started the company?
It was not so long ago, in fact, because it was in October 2009 that the company was created. And to tell you the short story, in fact, I was Like you, I traveled a lot when I was younger. I lived in Asia. I was a backpacker for a while. And I was working in an e-commerce company, so with a good knowledge of all the marketing on the internet. And when the iPhone arrived on the market, I said, my God, this is the product that would answer a need I have when I travel. You know, when I arrive in a city that I don't know, I have no idea what kind of places I want to visit.
Yep.
Places that would fit me, my personal taste, my personality, not the one of a writer, not the one from my neighbor. And so it was always the challenge is to spend time trying to understand what kind of places I wanted to visit. And then from there, in which order, how do I organize my daily trip so that I don't lose time going from one place to the other one? So that was the first challenge that we wanted to answer with the product. And the second one was getting around the city. You know, you just went to a museum, was nice to visit it, and then on your itinerary you have another place to visit, but how do you get around? You sometimes don't know the language, you don't know the place. Yep. And so that was also another point we wanted to answer, is to guide the traveler around the city very easily, and that's what people appreciate with the product.
So there are quite a few products that have emerged over the last couple of years since the iPhone. And by the way, I think if I did a poll of the 200 plus interviews that I've done on tether.tv, you would see that the aha moment, or that revolutionary moment, was when the iPhone came out. For I'd say a good majority, right? Everybody looked at the world differently when the iPhone came out. It was just vast opportunities, and you're no different. But a lot of companies are focusing on this challenge, and you know, what really is it that you said something very interesting to me, that those Frommer's guides, or the shoestring guides from Lonely Planet, are 20% of that content, or I'd say even sometimes more, is out of date. And it's very expensive to maintain, because you've got writers around the world that are staying in these locations, and there's one writer ultimately for different areas. And so is that really the big opportunity? Is that this is disruptive because it's so distributed and so real time compared to those books? Because the rest of it is natural, but what you're doing here is leveraging a network of people using the application to keep this data up to date. Was that really what the disruption or the disruptive nature of what you're doing?
No, the priority, in fact, was really assisting the traveler in his trip. Yeah. The fact that the content is up to date is more a consequence of the tool that he is using, right, of the technology that we deployed. We have a system of synchronization of the data, which is that we have developed, and that you won't find at the moment anywhere else. And it's an added value, but it's not the part of the key feature. But it's really important, and we see also the difference in terms of feedback. We have a lot of feedback from the traveler, because the traveler is in front of the museum, or he is in the restaurant, and he is right away answering to something which is wrong. He's saying, no, this information is not correct. He is not waiting to go home and maybe remember that this place was not open at this time, and he's going back to the website and so on. So that's a big difference. But I would say that the main selling feature is for us is the mTrip Genius that we have developed, which is generating itineraries of visit for the traveler based on his taste, based on the location of the point of interest, opening hours, the rating that the place has, and so on. Yeah.
And I love it. I mean, if we can just talk about one of the applications itself, is that you customize it on basically by sliding sliders of what interests you, and what I love about it is that you choose whether it's museums or shops, or you adjust based on what your preferences are, and then the last one that you adjust is how aggressive you want to be, right? So if it's casual, or you just want to, basically sprint between locations. And was that algorithmically, it calculates based on the existence of all of these places that you want to be, and it says, listen, this is where you are. These are your options. That's the secret sauce that you guys have created, right? That's the genius behind it.
That's the most complicated part of the application. We also recreated the routing algorithm like Google Maps, but we recreated it because the application works offline, so we cannot rely on Google for that. And that could seem quite complicated, where it's less complicated than the algorithm of the mTrip Genius, because we try to put a lot of different criteria in this algorithm to have something which is really worth for the traveler.
And offline, obviously, because
everything works offline.
Yeah, it's very important.
That's a challenge. It's very, very important that everything is working offline, even if some features requires the online, like the update, of course. But it's like you are going back to your hotel in the evening, and then you can update your guide. It's very quick. There's a Wi-Fi in your room, and so you can do it this way. And we have also like a postcard feature, which is a very funny thing. You can write your postcards during the day. It's stored on the phone, and you come back to the hotel in the evening, and then your postcards are automatically sent to all your friends. And so it's really fun.
So what are some of the other features of the product? I mean, does it keep a journal of where you've been and a lot of those things, or is it just strictly about getting you to a place and giving you the history of that place?
So for each place, there are ratings from other travelers, and there are reviews, and there are pictures, and so on. And we are going to release a new version early March, which will let you also add your own notes to a point of interest, as well as your own pictures.
Great.
So that you will be able to also have your journal on your guide, and it will be very easy to use during the day. You just you are traveling with someone, just make a picture that you would link to this place, and you can write a note that you want to remember, and you will be able then, and that will be really cool, when one tap on a publish button, to automatically publish all your trip on a dedicated web page. And this will be free, included in this new version.
That's great. So you have your own kind of history of your travel experience, whatever you want to put to it.
Exactly. You will have your page called Rob on the mTrip website with your trip, what you have visited, your pictures, your ratings, your comments, all your notes, and everything is automatically sent to your page. You publish on your page in one tap.
That's incredible. I mean, that's a really effective use of this technology, because, I mean, you look through your phone, and I have hundreds of pictures that I haven't looked at for a long time. I haven't put anywhere. I'd love to be able to bring that in, especially from if it's an important trip or a fun trip.
Yeah, exactly. And when you come back from a trip, it's always the same. You get back to work, and you don't have time to upload your pictures and choose from one picture to the other, and you forgot what you lived during your trip, and so on. Where with this system, you just have to tap publish, and everything is online. And if you're not back yet, you are still on your trip, and your family, your friends, they live your trip with you. That's great.
So it's a great experience. Now, so when you launched this, it was a different playing field, because location-based services, things like Foursquare were just. We're young. I think Foursquare launched in 2009 at South by Southwest, or 2008 in South by Southwest, and Gowalla 2009, and you've seen some shifts in there and some adoption about check-in technologies. I want to talk really specifically about something like Gowalla, who they've moved away from check-ins to travel experiences. Now, do you look at those guys as a competitor or something that complements what you're doing?
I think it's different. Like, our guides are not local city guides. Our aim is not to have a huge directory of places, a huge amount of data, is
Yeah.
to offer to a traveler the best information.
Right.
So something like Yelp is not a competitor. It's different.
Yeah.
You don't use it at the same moment for the same reason.
Right.
So it's two things which are different, and something like Gowalla or Yelp on an iPhone can be online. They're not really competitors.
Okay. Hey, I asked because a lot of people are using these. We're seeing it today. When people land in a location, they launch Foursquare, they launch Gowalla to see what's around them. But it's not a curated experience like mTrip would be, which is you've got an itinerary and you're going to go from place to place. So it's
exactly
okay.
You have to make a choice before, and you select places based on different criteria. So it's not really the same experience.
So let's talk about this because you partnered with someone, because somebody has to be able to create this content and have all this information. So you partnered, obviously.
So in fact, when I created the company, I was looking for a partner in terms of content, because the mission of mTrip is not to create the content.
Right.
And so I had a look at several US publishers and European publishers, and I really wanted to start with a multilingual guide, not to target only the US.
Right.
And so was a contact with major actors of the travel industry, and one of the potential partners was Falk, which is a major group in Germany, very well known. They publish the Falk maps as well as the Marco Polo guides,
Yeah.
and they had a content offer which is really good quality and very interesting. So I partnered with them, and it's working very well.
So let's talk about that partnership, because a lot of companies, especially in the mobile space, are looking at partnering for content or partnering for some piece of their business. Is that what was the experience about? Did it take a long time to connect with Falk? Did you know somebody there? Was it a relationship that you had before, or was this a cold call and it just built into something a little bit deeper, like this great relationship?
I did a few cold calls to major actors, and it went quite quickly. The only one who could offer me content in other languages than English was Falk.
Okay.
And I didn't know anyone at Falk, but well, I think it took around 3 months to find a contract, and they had already the content in electronic. So after it went very fast.
So we're just having
very smoothly.
Yeah. So what you were saying, we got a little bit of we got cut off a little bit there, but what you were saying was that they already had. You were looking for a provider who had content in multiple languages.
Who had, yeah, and who also, of course, had already the content in
digitally,
electronic digital providers, and they didn't have the content, which is impossible to use and too much work if it's not already an XML format.
Okay.
So they had everything already available, so it went very smoothly.
See, that's very important, obviously. And do you think it was timing that allowed you to create that relationship so quickly? Because a lot of these guys are now engaged in their own applications, travel applications, all the Fromers and those guys. So was this just great timing on your part?
It's a special timing and also roadmap from the publisher. Frommer, it's still possible, I guess, to get a content deal with them, depending if you are how you position yourself compared to their own strategy. Also, you know, I don't think they publish their own city guides from us at the moment. It's licensed to another company, and a lot of publishers act like that. I think there is only Planet who is publishing, and other publishers they license the name and the content. So, I think it's not a bad idea, in fact, to do like that.
So part of the I think the part of every challenge for every application maker, every platform maker, is trying to find an audience. Even if there is an audience, we all know that there's a traveling audience. There's a people go places. Tourism, especially in Canada, which is where we both are, plays a huge role in our economy. So there's lots of people that come here. We travel a lot. We go to New York and Paris and anywhere where your city guides are. I guess the biggest challenge is having people find you among the noise. And how have you managed to be able to do that, to generate an audience, of following people to contribute to the guides?
You're right, Rob. The main challenge is for any app is visibility. When you have 300,000 apps on the App Store, it's very difficult to be seen by travelers. Yep. And especially for an app with an unknown brand like mTrip, because we are not Lonely Planet or Frommers. However, we worked a lot on with the press to have some press coverage, and we also had the chance to be noticed by Apple. They featured us on the main page of the App Store, which was a great thing for us. And we also had the chance to be chosen by Apple to be installed in the Apple stores in Europe, you know, on the iPhone that is in the store. If you go to Paris, for example, and you look at the iPhone in their store, you will see that there is a mTrip Paris City Guide installed on it, and there is no other competitor. So it's a great opportunity in terms of visibility. And so that's why it's working really well.
Did you guys? So how did you do any lobbying with Apple to get featured at all?
Lobbying doesn't work with Apple. You just you are lucky if they contact you. That's it. There's nothing you can do, in fact, and so we are very happy.
Yeah, no kidding. So you were not only featured in the App Store, but then you were installed on the demo devices in Paris. So this is obviously a nod of enthusiasm, an enthusiastic nod from Apple for you guys. And what did that do for you guys? The combination of those two.
Well, the being featured on the App Store main page is bringing, of course, sales. Yep. Being installed in the Apple Store doesn't bring, I guess, even it's not possible to track, but doesn't bring a lot of sales, I guess, but it's more a recognition for all the team who works on the mTrip travel guide. You know, it's a recognition. It's more that rather than increasing sales. But visibility is the main challenge, and we got a lot of coverage in the press, like New York Times or Washington Post, and also the major press in Europe. So that's how we manage to be seen and to have a good ranking in the App Store. So
I mean, how do you? It's funny because it's everybody's dream to be able to be featured, especially if you're an app maker, to be featured in the App Store. They say that to crack that top 100 apps is a golden handshake, because it gains momentum and it brings you the attention that you need to perhaps be featured on the App Store. But what do you think it was about mTrip that grabbed Apple's attention to the point where you were featured and you were part of the Paris stores?
I think it's always the same. It's what is the added value that you bring to the customer. You know, if you can take Apple, but you can take Google or any other major actor that you want to partner with is what will you bring to their client.
Yeah.
I'm also in discussion with some hardware manufacturer, and what they want, the only thing is they want is first, what is the added value for their customer? And so in the application, we differentiate ourselves compared to our competitors by bringing a lot of added value features, and that's, I think, why they chose us, in fact.
And then, so since then, obviously, you got a quick install base, some great revenue as a result of this, and the media coverage, again, unique, added value perspective. You certainly are in a great niche. Now, what do you do to enhance this? Are there viral things that you guys are doing? I noticed that you have a kind of mTrip rated badge that you hope people put on their websites that say that you're part of mTrip. But what else are you doing that kind of maintains that momentum? Because there seems to be a post App Store feeling of depression after you're no longer a featured app, right?
Now the next part is, as I told you in beginning March, we are releasing a new version, which will let you add your own pictures and your notes, and let you publish your trip on the internet on your page. Yeah. So this you'll be able to have on a desktop, but also on an iPad, because it will be a web application which will be fully compatible with the iPad gesture, and it will be something very exciting, and people will be able to share their trip with all their friends through Facebook also.
Yeah, so much more viral. Here's my trip.
Exactly. Yeah. So the trip doesn't end the last day of your trip.
Well, yeah, it's true, and I think of companies today. There was an announcement by Instagram, the photo company, the little app, photo app for iPhone. Yeah. It said it took 3 months to get their first 1 million users, then 6 weeks to get their second 1 million users. And is that the kind of growth that you guys see? I'm not really interested in numbers as much, but was that first chunk of users to get actually up and running the most difficult, and then has it kind of gained the momentum as you've seen over the last number of months?
Of course, it's always exponential, and we get also now a basis of regular users, and we got email from travelers who tried a few months ago the app for the first time, and now each time they travel somewhere they download our app. So it's quite exponential, and the reason for this new feature is to be viral and to expand this basis. So
what about things like leveraging some of the technology that's out there? Incentive based. So you've got the cities that are working with you or can leverage your platform. But what about if I was the Eiffel Tower, or if I was top of the Rockefeller Center in New York City, and I wanted to give somebody an incentive who's a tourist to come to this location? Not that the Eiffel Tower. I think that's you go, but a less known monument. Is that something that you want to build into this? Is like an e-commerce engine that allows people to promote their venues to get people incentive to get in there? I guess is my question.
It could be part of the future.
Yeah. Okay. It makes sense, right? Where you start to look at multiple ways to generate revenue from having people have this application in their hand. But I guess you got to worry that it's not too spammy, right?
Not too spammy, and also the people, the advertiser want also a way of tracking investment. And when you have something which is offline, it's a bit different.
It's tough because everybody says that mobile is so inherently trackable, but if you don't want to have the roaming charges and you're offline, It's not trackable anymore, is it?
Yeah, exactly.
Lots about this is that you're in Montreal. Have you is this self-funded? Have you had some angel investors, some VCs, or is this just based on revenue that what you guys are running on right now?
It's self-funded by myself,
Yeah.
and the company has been profitable 2 months after the first launch. So,
okay. So I mean, you've obviously found a great niche for the product. Is when you talk to other entrepreneurs, or you know, you look around, is how important is that? Because there are other competitors, but you've found obviously a spot that really is unique in the way that you create itineraries for travel experiences. Was that, how important was that in your business model compared to other companies that are doing similar things?
Well, what is important? I'm not sure to understand the question.
Well, you know, because I guess the lessons here is what I'm trying to get at is you know, you were featured in App Store for a reason. You were featured in the Paris Apple Store for a reason. You were profitable 2 months in for a reason, but it's a very competitive space that you're in, which is the travel guide on you know, mobile travel guides. But so why do you think you guys succeeded to this point compared to some of the other guys that aren't doing quite as well as you?
I think there's a question of momentum and innovation. I didn't create mTrip just because I wanted to have a travel guide on a mobile phone. It was an answer to a need I had, and it was the right momentum. There was a real innovation, and we are constantly thinking to give more innovation, more added value. So it's like a race. You never stop thinking about the innovation and so on. So if we stopped, enriching the product, and we just stayed with what we have, in 3 months we would be dead. There would be other actors on the market doing the same. So the challenge is all the time thinking about how we could make things different, what could we bring to the traveler, and so on.
Okay. And so you're launching a product, a new version, sometime in March, early
Yes.
March, and then obviously with the web connection, the capabilities to do that. How do people find out about your product?
Currently,
Yeah.
Currently, most of the traffic comes directly from the App Store,
Yeah.
on the phone, and it's a bit difficult to understand how they find us, because we don't get any analytics from Apple,
Right.
in terms of keyword search, about impressions and things like that. It's far from what you can get with Google Analytics.
Yep.
However, we see some peaks when we got press coverage. So I guess people are reading the press and mTrip directly.
Okay.
And so the traffic is not so much coming from our websites.
Yeah, but it's still necessary to have that. You have a great demo out
Yes.
there.
Yeah.
And it's so people can find more information right now from mTrip, just mTrip.com.
Exactly. There's a demo video on there and all the features.
Well, yeah, and obviously they can follow you on Twitter. You've got a great blog that highlights some of the unique aspects of some of the cities that you cover, the travel. I was on it the other day, and there was this hotel that they were building on top of a building that looks like a battleship in London. So you're highlighting some of the unique things of these cities in the travel blog as well.
Yes, we have the marketing manager, Sabrina, takes care of our blog, and she's doing a great job on that.
And it's all part of the marketing mix. You need all of these things in order to be able to generate the awareness that for the applications, don't you?
Yep. Exactly.
One last question about pricing. when you set out to do your pricing, was this did you look at what the market could bear, or did you compare it against something to get to the pricing that you came up with for each of these city guides?
In fact, we started with having the same price than our main competitor,
yeah,
which is Lonely Planet.
Yeah.
And we did some price testing, and at the end we saw that the best price was the one we have today, which is $5.99, and which is I think very cheap, in fact, because if you compare to the paper guidebooks and the added value that you got, $5.99 for a trip that will cost you a few $1,000s, I think it's a deal.
Yeah, it is. Boy, is it ever. It is. And do you see that, I mean, ultimately when you get up to 30 travel guides and then beyond, that seems to be the price point where your comfort level is. Do you move into the iPad and kind of do your travel guide HD for the iPads and tablets?
Well, the web application that we will release in March, which will let people share their trip, will be totally compatible with the iPad and Android tablets.
Okay.
But I don't really believe in a native application right now, for a simple reason is that personally I would not travel around a city during the day with the iPad in my hand.
No.
So, it's a great tool, but it's mobility at home. I don't see it as mobility outside.
No. I mean, yeah, I can't imagine. Maybe the 7-inch tablet, but I mean, to walk around with something like this under your arm, it doesn't really work as well as an iPhone or an Android device.
Exactly.
Well, so Frederic, look, I really, despite all of the, we've got the best connection now than we've had the entire interview as we're wrapping it up, and that's usually the way that it goes. So despite all the, the connection issues between Ottawa and Montreal for some reason, I really appreciate your time, your insight, and your advice in this industry, because it's guys like you that are pushing the boundaries of innovation on these devices and making them useful day to day for everything that we use, and I really love what you guys are doing with mTrip. I can't wait to see the next iteration, and I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your story.
Thank you very much, Rob. It was a pleasure to talk with you.
So we've been speaking with Frederic de Pardieu, who is the founder and CEO of mTrip. Go to mtrip.com for more information, or just do a search for mTrip on Apple's App Store or Android's Marketplace. If you want, there's a great frequently asked questions on the site. There's also a great demo video for those who need to dip their toe in before they go and purchase it, but certainly worthwhile. 21 cities to date, 30 coming up, another 9 coming up, and then a new version coming out in the beginning of March that will allow you to share your trips online. So, Frederic, I think I've encapsulated it. Thank you for being a part of this.
Thank you, Rob.
And thank you for watching. I appreciate your attention as well as we go through this experience with the mobile industry. Thanks, Fred.
Thank you. Bye-bye.